so recently I have changed how I release the golf club, and I've also been promoting that students of mine change the way that they release the golf club. Now, what often happens is when we talk about release, a lot of golfers tend to think about the rotation, and there's often quite confusion about this in terms of should you hit the golf ball with a body rotation, or should you hit it by just rotating your arms? The answer is that there's an element of both. Regardless, there's an element of both. The only way you can possibly ever reduce any forearm rotation is if you grip the golf club very, very strong. If you literally rotate your lead hand as far over as you can, place your trail hand under here, then you won't ever need to rotate your arms. If you don't do that, then you'll always need some rotation to square the face. And I think it sometimes causes confusion. The reason why it causes confusion, and it's not a topic that I tend to talk about on my channel and also with a lot of my students, is because I also don't think it's that relevant. The reason why I don't think it's relevant is most golfers suffer with what I would class as their hand path. Now, what we tend to see with professional golfers is they'll swing back, and as they're coming towards the downswing, the upper arm moves down towards the side of the body as they sort of rotate in towards their lead leg correctly. And this means by the time the club is parallel placed, you'll often see that the hands of the professional golfer are located over their trail thigh. And you'll also see the way the club shaft is below parallel, or below my belt line like so, sorry, when it's parallel. Now, this position here is going to give the golfer the ability to control the low point, which essentially means allow the club to drop on the back of the golf ball. The problem for 99.5% of amateur golfers is they don't get into that position in the first place. What tends to happen with most amateurs is as they bring the club down, the upper arm doesn't move to the side of the body, like so, and you don't really pivot, or golfers don't tend to pivot as well in towards their lead leg. So by the time the club parallel is placed again, you'll see the way that it is above the hip line and the hands are also much wider, therefore causing an issue in terms of contact. And then if you're somebody who either misses the ball, hits the top of the ball, what you'll do is you'll sort of evolve to continue to rotate with the club, which again just doesn't give you any distance at all. So I've been trying to tackle this problem for a long, long time. And the way that I tend to get the best response from students is not really to worry about club face rotation in terms of arm rotation, apart from to explain that it exists. What I tend to get them to do is to focus on their hand path. And the way I do this is, well, I actually shared it recently on a video where I suggested to you guys, look, hold the club like so, where you have both hands on the club but separated just by the distance of the grip itself. And then from here, just sort of practice making some through swings where you take the club through. But can you see the way my hands are going? I'm allowing my hands to go upward. And then as I'm allowing my hands to go upward, okay, instead of this type of motion here, okay, upward, if I do it slowly, my hands go up, but see the way the club can quite comfortably hit the ground. And the reason for this is I like this type of motion because it really helps your body and get your shoulder down towards the back of the golf ball. But because you're thinking more about your hands going up, it helps you promote those kind of motions. As opposed to if you're somebody who's maybe thinking about sort of down, pulling the handle down and around, what you tend to find is this shoulder gets a little stuck up. And again, it affects that sort of hand path release. So what I would do, and I'd strongly suggest you guys do it as I do for a lot of my students, is you can start to use a cardboard box or potentially even your golf bag itself. What you would do, if I sort of place it facing you guys first, just so you can understand, if I was hitting my golf ball down towards you, so you were my target, can you see the way that I'm going to position the box? So if I kind of put my hands together and I just move my hands to the side of me, see the way that my hand can obviously miss the box like so. So I'm not saying it needs to be in that firing line, but if I sort of swing this through and keep my arms straight, can you see the way my hands are going to miss the box? And what I tend to see with most golfers is the way that they pull the hands in towards the box. And again, this is because of the whole journey that gets us to that point. This is because golfers tend to do things like, as they start the downswing, they don't realise that they struggle with things like contact because they don't control the hands coming down. So it then lends itself to doing things like trying to move your head and kick your trail hip forward. But what I'm trying to say is the problem with this type of motion is, yeah, you might get an okay contact, but you're actually going to be moving the club too much to the left for a right-handed golfer of the target, which means that you're going to end up swinging massively in towards the box. So I would promote that you place the box towards your lead side, okay, and from this position, you can then obviously, you could use your golf bag, as I said earlier, and you can just make some practice swings like so. See, my hands are going much more up. Yeah. And then if you notice that you're not striking the ground, then you can just try and get more of a feeling as you're doing this of dropping that shoulder down. So see the way now I can hit the ground with my feeling of my hands going up. So I would really promote that you practice like so and get that feeling. I would strongly suggest that you practice against a bit of a cardboard box as well, because it will give you a different sense of how to start the downswing and get rid of these type of bad habits and give you into the good habits. And like I say, for myself, well, you know, it does take away some of the complexity, because obviously in golf you do have options, you know, in terms of exactly how you want to release, and you start messing around with it rather than just swinging the club a little bit more naturally. And it should help you guys out an absolute ton. See you soon.